You wanna come up to the door there, bud? How you doing, bud? What I was gonna say tonight is, you know, we've been working with Dennis, the last month or so, and brought, the cleanup of his property on the Tannery Road to a culmination and an end, and, he did a good job. He stepped up to the plate. He made an agreement with town council that he would have the property cleaned up. Council asked him to have a signed agreement with a local contractor, which he did, and the work started on the 10th of August, and I think they wound up working probably just about all week over there, and wound up on Friday, but it looks really good over there. And we know there was a hardship on you, we know that it put a lot of stress on you, and it's a financial strain too. But at the same time, we appreciate you following through on what you promised us and your neighbors that you will do. And we've heard from the neighbors, and the neighbors are happy with the situation over there, and it looks really nice, really nice. And we appreciate you doing that and following through with it. So, okay. You want to say anything else while you're here, or?
I'm just glad everybody's happy.
That's an unusual situation,
Yeah.
for everybody to be happy. But we did, and I'm actually glad you're here, because I want to thank you for doing that.
Yeah, I just thought I'd come check, make sure everything's okay with him.
Yeah, I think we're good, bud. I think we're good. Okay? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna try and roll on through the rest of this pretty quick. Power pole's been replaced down here on Commerce. They did that last week. Took them a little bit to do that. Randy, the flagpole, when you think they're gonna be able to do that?
That's up to y'all.
The mixer's out there, cement mixer's out there. So, Wendy, can you talk to us about that Monday morning and tell them to come up with a day and get with him to do that?
I don't know what's coming next week with the rain.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
But, you know, see how,
As soon as you give them permission,
well, they got permission to do it, it's just when they,
well,
I asked them when they gonna do it, they say they're waiting on you, I asked you when you gonna do it, you say you're waiting on them.
they have to call me. I don't know when they wanna do it.
Tell them to call Randy
Okay.
and set it up.
Just let me know. We'll get started on it.
The water leak at the playground, we had a major water leak down there. I think we talked about this at the work session. But it's been repaired. It is, they did a good job on that, and I think that's gonna help with our utility expenses for the town. And they gotta get some grass sowed down there and get that fixed back up. And while we're talking about the playground, Parks and Recreation Association had a meeting 2 weeks ago, and they authorized the purchase of up to 50 yards of mulch to be put under the playground equipment down there. And as soon as the town crew gets caught up just a little bit, and it gets dry enough for them to be able to back out in the playground, or buy some plywood to back out on, they're gonna start putting that mulch in. And that should clean things up and spruce things up and make it a whole lot nicer down there, and hopefully get rid of some of that mud. And the other thing that they're gonna do is they're gonna clean that ditch out that runs beside the fence between the playground and the railroad right of way. And hopefully that'll open up and carry some of that water away from the playground that's standing in there. But that's not gonna be something that happens immediately. It's gonna be down the road a few weeks before we get to that. To be honest with you, they've got a pretty full agenda on what they need to take care of before bad weather sets in. So, and while we're talking about that, the lawnmower and the weed eater both need repair. There's one lawnmower they've got that's cutting extremely crooked. It's been to the shop, been to the shop, been to the shop. So I don't know whether the situation's gonna be that it's time to really seriously knuckle down and look at buying another lawnmower. But we can't have the grass cut like it is, especially on 220 with big divots cut out of it, and it's cut in and out. And the weed eater is at true value being repaired, because once it gets hot, it won't start back up after they cut it off. The schoolhouse project, it's still on the back burner. Mr. Harris talked to Wendy, and the reason he hasn't been able to get back to us with any other figures is in order for him to assess the roof, he needs to use a lift, I think you said, and the one that he's got tied up on another job, and as soon as he gets that freed up, he's going to do that and get that information to us. So we're kind of just in a holding pattern with that. I don't know if everybody knows or not, but Marla Ackridge, who was kind of spearheading things at the Economic Development Committee for Allegheny County, Allegheny Highlands, left her position. And so there's only one person left in that office, and I talked to her yesterday, and she said just as soon as we get some figures and some information, get back to her, they would help us try to decide what would be the best way to proceed or not to proceed or what have you. So, any questions about the old schoolhouse situation? And the CARES Act money, you've been hearing about this. This is money that is a grant to help localities and small businesses to cover unbudgeted expenses that they've incurred due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And just so you know, the small businesses in the Highlands are taking advantage of this. And they're receiving applications, and the applications are being worked through. And I believe that some of that first grant money is in the process of being issued. I understand probably within the next 10 days to 2 weeks that it will be, the first checks will go out on that grant money. Allegheny County received $1.6 million in funds to offset this. And if you also remember, we discussed last month, I think, was it last month?
At the work session.
At the chamber,
We discussed
the chamber's doors. We discussed at the work session about a request that the Allegheny Highlands Chamber of Commerce and Tourism had made from all 4 localities, Allegheny County, City of Covington, Town of Clifton Forge, Town Iron Gate, to share some of each locality's CARES Act money, and of which we got $62,000. And when we discussed it at the work session, we just assumed they were going to split the cost for their new doors and upgrades that they're making 4 ways, which would have been each locality contributing $8,000. But they broke it down on a percentage basis of, I guess, what they figured the use or the benefit that each locality gets from the chamber. And that reduced our requested donation from 25% of their fee to 2%, which is $653.21 of our CARES money. And we'll have to vote on that under new business. The other question that was brought up when we discussed that at the work session was to make sure that they were including Iron Gate in their brochures and on their maps. And they are. I have copies of the maps that are in their brochures, and they're sending us copies of the brochures. And Iron Gate is listed, as the entryway to the Highlands on the 220 corridor. I think it's a 220, potentially future, I-73 corridor coming through here. But they have included us in that, and made those corrections and additions. These are here if anybody wants to look at them. If there's anything else that they feel like, that we feel like they need to add us to or have us incorporated in, they, soon as always, just reach out to them and tell them how we're feeling and let them know, and they'll try to work with us on that. So, there they are right there. The other side of that CARES Act money so far is Wendy has put together a request for reimbursement for some expenditures that we have spent on COVID-19 preparation. Reimbursement of the funds from the town cell phone that we've been using for meetings, the Zoom connections, they were not budgeted or used before the pandemic. Also reimbursement for town supply, cleaning supplies for town hall, playground, and the plexiglass protection at town hall. And we're requesting a draft on our money in the amount of $780.70. And we'll need to vote on that under new business to authorize us to ask for that money. Okay? Is that everything we needed to cover on the CARES Act money, Wendy?
Yes.
Anybody have any questions about that money? Or how it's being dispersed?
Do we ever come up with that stuff for us, for doors and whatnot?
That's a good question. She's working on that. So.
Yes.
Still working?
Actually, I think, the local contractor that handled all that for the chamber, we will reach out to him, but he had surgery last week. So she's kind of had to go around and get to the actual people that are doing the work and not go through a local contractor. That's what slowed it down just a little bit.
Well, I just wanted to know if we didn't want to forget about it.
No, we're not going to forget about it. That's a lot of good upgrades and good things that will help us in the long run. Okay, that's all I've got on my report.